always been smart and good in school, good grades and stuff, but I was always in trouble, always fighting, getting suspended. I went to three different high schools. So that transition in the childhood started like right at adulthood. Like 18, I was a mother, and so I had to kind of figure things out and become better for my son. So understanding and seeing how my mother struggled as a single parent, I never wanted to be a single parent. Never wanted to like show my kids that struggle that we came from. So my motivation was always to like do better, inspire to do better, to be a better mother than my mother was.
The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said you're up and I'm up. Y'all now tuned in to the Grind Hard Dream Big Show. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I got a special guest in the building. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, my name is Ebony McClenny. I'm the founder and executive director of Sun Organization. Happy to be here tonight.
I appreciate you for pulling up, for sure. So for the people that don't know, like your childhood, like where you were born and raised, like can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I was born in Baltimore, born and raised in Baltimore City. So I came up pretty much in the trenches, like the worst of the worst. So I kind of had a pretty rough childhood, but I made it through. I overcame the adversities and kept pushing to be where I am today.
For sure. So, like, did you have any hobbies as a kid, like things that you got yourself, like, found yourself into and things like that?
Right. Actually, a lot of people don't know I used to play basketball.
Okay,
So I
Hooper.
played basketball, yep. And coming up in like middle and high school, and then high school, I started to transition to like getting in trouble, and I kind of lost the vision. But yeah, basketball was one of my biggest hobbies. Also, writing. I used to write poetry a lot as well.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. So, like, with those outlets and speaking to that, like, I feel like it's so vital, obviously, for, at a young age to have outlets. So, like, how was that for you? Like, was that like a safe haven? Was that peaceful? Like,
Yeah, it really was a safe haven, very peaceful. My mother was actually a heroin addict, so um, getting out of the house was something I always wanted to do, just to get away from home was safe, but it just wasn't my safe haven because home had a lot going on. So just looking for things to do and getting outside and the projects we made, like our basketball goals didn't have nets. So we like made little hoops from like milk crates and stuff like that. So I was actually a little tomboy, so I hung out with like all the boys in the neighborhood. So going outside just playing ball was like an outlet. And then when I started writing, it was a way to express myself. So poetry has always been like a self outlet for me to just express and write with no judgment, nobody having to give me no feedback. So
for sure, for sure. I think that's definitely dope. I think writing for me as well. That was a safe haven for me. Journaling, writing raps, poetry, things like that. Because that was my outlet. I felt like, okay, I have something to say, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You know what I
right.
mean? If I didn't do that, I don't know what my safe haven would have been. And then, like I said, playing sports. I played it for not only because the homies played it, but just like that place I felt like I needed. So that organization and things like that as well. So as you transition, right now it's like early adulthood. What were some things that you were like learning and navigating through?
So just navigating through just the childhood traumas that I at that age didn't realize was trauma and things that you exposed to in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. But I transitioned at sort of an early age because I gave birth to my first son at 18. So I had always been smart and good in school, good grades and stuff, but I was always in trouble, always fighting, getting suspended. I went to three different high schools. So that transition in the childhood started like right at adulthood. Like 18, I was a mother, and so I had to kind of figure things out and become better for my son. So
For sure, as far as like finding the motivation and things like that. So as you transition, right, your organization, what inspired the organization? And like I said, like what are the morals and values and things like that when people look at the overall mission statement?
Yeah, so after losing my son, I wanted to keep his name alive. I wanted to think of something and an organization that would cater to young children, especially youth in underserved communities that I felt are battling and facing the adversities that I faced as a child. Things that my son was exposed to, even not growing up in the city. We always travel back and forth in the city. I have family in the city. My mom still lives in the city. He played sports in the city. He went to school in the city to play football. And it was a lot of things that I saw just coming up that I said, I want to be there and be a support system and advocate for the youth in the city. So when I founded the organization, which I named SUN, I wanted SUN to have a strong acronym and something that would empower and inspire youth. So I thought long and hard. I was on the phone with my little sister, and I'm like, "What can we name it?" And we was just throwing names back and forth, and then it jumped out there like surviving our neighborhood. So SUN stands for surviving our neighborhood, and then the mission, which says we provide preventative resources to youth in underserved communities impacted by trauma. And when I look at that mission, what that means to me is that, like, no matter what you face in your neighborhood, what you face in your community, you can survive, you can thrive, you can overcome the adversities. So we're here to provide those tools to help the youth overcome their adversities. So my mission is very meaningful and impactful, and it's very personal. And again, unfortunately, found it from loss, but I wanted to turn that pain into a purpose and keep going and advocate not only for the youth, but also for mothers who face the same challenges I faced.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And like I said, the encounters and the events that I've been a part of and seeing it, it's been tremendous. It's been
Thank you.
literally intentional, heartfelt, and like I said, either you hosting or you vending or whatever it may be, the presence is always felt, and
Mm-hmm.
you always want them to know like, yo, if I can do this, you can do this too.
Right.
And that's the light that I believe that you continuously shine,
Thank you.
with the organization and everything like that. And like I said, so the power of networking, how has networking been for you? Because I see you ripping and running and, like learning so many things and
Yeah.
just being in the spaces and adding value. So how's that been for you?
Yeah, well, networking is everything. Prior to me starting my nonprofit, I've been a licensed realtor for just hit my 7 year
That's
anniversary.
what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Actually, about 2 days ago. So 7 years in real estate, and when I got into the real estate world, I didn't know nothing about being a realtor. Like, right, it's just like even running a nonprofit. I knew nothing about running a nonprofit. But one of the biggest things that I learned in real estate was like networking. You got to network. You got to network. You got to get your name out there. Like, who knows me? Why am I going to be your realtor? So networking was a big thing, and is a big thing in real estate. So my networking picked up 7 years ago. Before real estate, I was in healthcare. Healthcare was like, we go to work, we're in a hospital. It's not really networking, but we're just working together. But I really understood the concept and the importance of networking from real estate. So transitioning into being an executive director of a nonprofit is like you jumping into a whole new world. You just jumped in the ocean as this baby fish with all these sharks, and you trying to find your way out. So the first thing I thought of was like, I gotta connect with people, and I sat down with one of my son's cousins, and he connected me with some people, and it started with networking and connection. He's like, hey, I want you to talk to this person, you need to talk to this person, they doing what you doing. So it was all about finding people who had the same mindset as me, connecting with people who had similar visions, who were in the community doing the work. So as soon as I made my Instagram page for my nonprofit, I'm just like following all types of nonprofits, if I knew them, if I didn't know them. Connected with who was my son's mentor, Uncle T. Shout out to Uncle T with Challenge to Change.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out
One
to
of the
him.
first people to bring me in to work with his youth, and he actually helped encourage me to like, look, Ebony, like you got to do something. Like these mothers out here need you. You got to work with the kids. And he worked with my son. He actually preached my son's funeral. So having a relationship with him, and he's one of the biggest networkers in Baltimore City when it comes to the youth and nonprofits. So having him as a support in his organization, I just understood like I gotta get connected with the right people. So networking is one thing, but making them actual connections, because we can just be sitting here networking. but it's like what you allow to transpire after you actually connect with that network that that you build. So even for as you, our relationship start from just, just connecting, networking. I'm seeing you out, seeing you in events, and I'm like, hey, this guy's everywhere, looking like Wallow. And I'm just like, all right, let me keep up with him and follow him. So it's definitely very important. And it's also important to just evaluate like who you allow in your space, because every connection is not a good connection.
For
So
sure.
trying to weed out the good versus the bad, and who's really there, who really cares, who just wants an opportunity.
Right.
It's all very important, but there's no way I could run my nonprofit successfully without networking and making those connections.
Nah, for sure. Like I said, I know for myself, like I said, I started doing like motivational videos back in July 5th, 2020. Then I started doing the podcast November 6th, 2020. So it's going on like 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And I don't even know how many episodes I've had, because it's just like I've been consistently doing it. And then like with the events, the podcast led to community engagement, which led to like programming and things of that nature. So like it was just like one vehicle, then another vehicle, then another vehicle, then another vehicle. But I realized if I didn't start the podcast, then the opportunity to build relationships probably wouldn't have happened. So God was like, okay, bet, start it. And then starting it, networking, getting out there, finding out, okay, what happens at these events. Okay, if you want to do your own event, you got to go to an event, see what is how to run it.
Yeah.
Now that you learn information, apply that information, and now, attracting a team. I think a lot of us look at building a team like, oh, okay, I'm just trying to build this, I'm trying to build that. But it's like, we always going to build a lot of things. Who do you want to attract to?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like you just sat there and said, the spaces and adding value to value. I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning right now. Like,
Right.
okay, you have resources, I have resources. Why not bring them together?
Right.
Why not, okay, you have an audience, or you're trying to tap into an audience. Cool, I have an audience. You have this. Okay, like it's not hard. It's a no-brainer. Like, all right, bet. Say no more. Let's do it.
Right.
And I think that's how it is, and that's the longevity of things.
Yeah.
Like I said, because what you may have, I may not have, and it's like, okay, well, you provide a resource that I might need, and I may provide something that you may need. So that's the relationship right there.
Right. Yeah. It's important, even when applying for grants. Like you said, a valid point was like you might offer something that I don't, and vice versa, because that's what building a strong foundation and organization is all about. Like, you can't do it all. I know I can't do it all, so I'm constantly like trying to figure out like who's valuable for my organization and who can I add value to. So just being able to know when to step in the rooms that you're needed in, being in the right rooms. And you never know who you attract. Like, I'm out sometimes and they're like, hey, you the girl with some organization. I'm like, yeah, I am. So you got to have that energy. I feel like energy is just like universal, right? Like, some people, you just walk in and it's like a vibrant energy, and like, this is a good connection. Like, I got to make this connection. So
yeah, for sure, absolutely. And as you're transitioning, like the resources that you provide, like, can you speak to like the workshops that you provide for the community and youth?
Sure, yeah. So we are a trauma-informed based organization, youth-based organization. So we're big on focusing on understanding the impacts of trauma. So the first thing kids need to understand is what is trauma, right? They don't understand what trauma is and how. I think the biggest thing now, what we're seeing, is just a lot of generational trauma. Parents haven't been healed, grandparents haven't been healed. So we offer workshops centered around trauma and mental health. We talk about a lot of different mental health topics, leadership development, workforce development, effective communication, anything that. Last night, the session I had with the youth, we just talked on how to handle their emotions. A lot of people don't know how to handle their emotions and how to navigate away from, the negative outlets that they have. So one of our biggest things we do focus on is financial literacy. I look at financial literacy as a way to help better understand finances and money management, especially coming from poverty. 90% of our youth participants come from poverty. They come from underserved communities. They don't have a two-parent household. Parents can't afford to buy them the things that they want, and most of the parents don't own homes. They're on a strict budget and things like that. So we want them to understand that, it's not about where you come from. Don't let your situation define you. And if you can learn early now on how to better manage your finances, understand money,
Yes.
it can help you take you far. So financial literacy is one of our biggest programming that we do in across Baltimore City. So we've been doing a great job with that. We're looking forward to some of our programming, especially out in Cherry Hill. Shout out to Rich Mike,
Yeah,
the
shout
Rich
out to them
program,
for
Michael
sure.
Battle. So this is our second year. We'll be coming back out with them for the summer. Also, Challenge the Change we work with the summer. So our financial literacy program has really began to flourish. Looking at getting into some schools next year for some after school programming with that as well.
I was about to say, yeah, I know that's definitely on the way. I'm about
Yeah,
to say, because
I
what I'm
know.
seeing, I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah, and we
them
make it
kids, they need
fun,
it.
right? We make it
Oh, they need
fun.
it too. Like,
I've
yeah.
sat through some financial literacy workshops with like some of the banks, and no harm to none of the banks because I work with banks all the time with real estate.
For sure.
So but I think you have to kind of be a little more intentional when you're looking at the youth and kind of make it fun and interactive. So we bring in, checkbooks and fake money, and we just kind of help them be a little more hands on. I might ask them, how many of y'all got a bank account? One or two hands go up. Like, how many got Cash App? Everybody hand go up. I'm like, y'all don't even know, like, Cash App is a bank account.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
an online banking system. So, and I'll let them all whip out their phones, and I'm like, let's look at your account number and routing number. Why is everybody's routing number the same? Like, nobody knows. They don't understand the difference between account and routing number. Crazy is Baltimore City a few years ago, they thought it was a great idea to take away learning cursive handwriting.
Right. That's crazy.
85% of kids don't even know how to sign their signature.
Right.
So, check, writing out a check, signing a signature, the littlest things, not like giving a whole PowerPoint on IRA accounts and, things. I sit through some of the banking ones and I'm like, these kids ain't worrying about that stuff. Like, you got to dive into like where you can really connect with them and help them understand. So we help them create business plans and budget. They get a budget expense and they really enjoy it. So I've had kids reach back out. Some of the youth, teenage ones. I had one kid, he reached out maybe 6 months later showing me that his credit score, because he was already like 18 or 19, he was showing me his credit score had improved. And he wanted me to know. He was like, hey, since I took your class, I was like, that's what's up, Juan. I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
things like that let me know that, it really pays off to just see them understand the importance of building credit, saving money, and planning for their future.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that exposure piece is key because, like I said, they're not taught that in school.
Right.
So, like I said, you have something that is valuable that, like I said, a lot of people to pick up on. Schools, like I said, I already know that's on the way. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's on the way.
Yeah,
Elementary, middle, high,
right.
whatever it's at, it's on the way because
I'm
they need to
working on
understand
some
that.
things now. I got some stuff under wrap.
Yeah.
Can't release
For
all
sure.
the secrets.
Nah, it's not
but
supposed
no,
to be. You know what I'm saying?
I'm definitely working on some things. I got some things coming that I'm working on getting published. An app will be coming soon to the phone so we can interact more through the phone.
Okay.
So I got a few things I'm working on.
That's what's
Slow
up.
process, but it'll be, it's slow progress.
Yeah,
but
it is.
it definitely will be. It's a process, but it'll be worth it.
For sure.
And I can't wait to share it with the world when it hits. And
For sure.
we're going to be one of the biggest financial literacy programs across Maryland, not
There
just
it
in
is.
Baltimore
There you
City,
go.
because we need it more, not just in Baltimore City, So,
For sure.
So I'm looking at continue to push it, hire some more staff, and help me continue to build, connect, and grow.
For sure, that's what it is. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's like, yo, if you're doing this in your backyard, you can bring it to my backyard too. We're in the same state.
Right.
Might as well make it a state thing.
Right, yeah,
Local
that's
than global.
true.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
nah, for sure. So, like, as you're doing all this work, though, like, what is self-care like for you? Because, like, I do be like, okay, she's working a lot.
No.
She's doing a lot of things. So, it's like, what is the self-care like for you?
So self-care is very important to me, right? I try to do a self-care day a month,
Okay.
which that's not enough. I feel like I should probably do once a week. But self-care could be anywhere from, a spa day or just sitting home sleeping all day. But I try to, like, just tune into myself more. I started back going to the gym.
Okay.
So gym and fitness used to be my life years ago. I used to love working out, like, all the time, but
Got you.
kind of fell off with that. So I've been going back to the gym, just eating healthy, just trying to take care of myself more. Stretching in the morning and stretching before I go to bed.
That's
So
important.
the little things, but any time away from just work and life and kids, to me is self care. So dating myself more, going out just by myself, getting food, getting lunch. But yeah, I definitely have been trying to do more of like spa days, getting massages, and just nail shop. Girls, we love that nail appointment. So just nails and toes and all of the anything pampering myself is good self care. And I also have started back journaling, so that's a good outlet always for me. So I might just take a day and I keep my phone on do not disturb, and I'll just write and play some music. So
That's what's up. No, I definitely like that. I think the journaling and do not disturb, working
hmm
out, taking walks, that's just my thing. Or watching my favorite movie, watching my favorite show, and it's just
yeah,
like, all right, no, no phone call, no nothing.
right,
Just me, my show, my snack or whatever. I'm chilling. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? My lifesavers, I'm good. You know
And
what I'm
it's
saying?
good. I mean, a lot of men don't think it's important. Like y'all don't focus as much on your mental health as y'all should.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
so self care to a man is just like, what is that?
Yeah,
I don't need
it's kind of
self care.
foreign. It'd be
Yeah.
foreign sometimes
So,
because it's like we always on the go. We just always working.
mhm,
But it's like, I think it's like that to have your battery recharged, you need that. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? I can't be on go all the time. Sometimes, the rest stop is important. It's like
right.
paying attention to the
Yeah,
highway.
right.
Make sure you get some rest because you're
I
going to need it.
know, because you're going to crash. Your
Yeah,
body just crash after a while. So I'm definitely always on go. I mean, my calendar is always full. But it's a good and a bad thing because, I mean, it keeps me going. The work that I'm doing is keeping me going. It's a part of my healing journey.
right.
It's still pretty fresh. I'm approaching the 3-year anniversary of my son's death. So I think in a bad way, it's like I kind of probably never properly healed and
Mm,
grieved. I just kept going, but the process of healing and grieving is a part of me just giving back to the community and working with the youth in Baltimore. So that's a part of my grief journey right now.
for sure. And I think that as you show up as your authentic self in the spaces and the more that you're willing to share, I think that it's like, yo, okay, I'm healing. And it's
Yeah.
like you talking about it like right
Yeah.
now you're healing. You know what
Right.
I mean? So
Right.
it's just like I think that like I said, giving yourself more kudos for it because like I said, it takes a strong individual to even reveal that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think as more events and more interviews and things like that for yourself, I think that you'll get to that space where it's like, okay, like yeah,
Right.
God, I see you using me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Keep on using me. I'm gonna shine this light because
Right.
I'm a survivor. I've been
Yeah.
through this, and like I said, it may be another stage, but we've been here before,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
For
That's
sure.
true.
So, like I said, I feel like it was admirable as well with the events because, like I said, like nobody knows the mental capacity of us as organizers and doing all this stuff for the youth, like just showing up,
Mm-hmm.
like because that'd be a struggle within itself.
Right. Yeah.
So you gotta spiritually be there, mentally be there, and physically be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I commend you for that.
Yeah.
And it's
Thank
hard.
you.
It's not
It's
easy.
yeah. It's definitely hard. Sometimes people don't understand, but you know, and it's like that's when you gotta like even far as your family and your friends, people gotta know like when because they know I'm always like the strong one. I'm going and going, but people gotta know like when you still gotta check on your strong friends too and just make sure. So me and my friends, we got a little group chat where we check in, every day, sending little posts and stuff, and um, but you definitely gotta really like take care of your mental health. I stress that to the youth all the time because children don't understand how important it is as well. I actually have a topic where we talk about the importance of self care, and that's
Yeah,
even with the youth because they just so busy and active a lot of times playing sports doing whatever they doing but they don't really understand what self-care is and how that could affect your mental when you're just not taking proper care of yourself. So it's definitely one of my topics that I talk about.
for sure. So like I would say like, what is the motivation like to the person that probably wants to start like the dream, the business, the goal, or whatever, and then like what is something that you would have told your younger self?
The motivation, I mean, I would tell everybody like we all here for a reason. Everybody serves a purpose. And so until it's up to you to find that purpose and sometimes it's buried deep inside of you. You got to pull it out. So Even if it's after loss and grieving or whatever. Like if you every day you wake up, you got another purpose to be here. So I think, I mean, my biggest motivation, of course, is my son that is still here. I still have a 16-year-old son who I got to keep going for.
For sure.
He keeps me together, even on my days that I don't feel like keep going. Like, he's my motivation and he inspires me every day. Something I would have told to my younger self probably would have been to don't grow up so fast. So I wanted to be grown so fast. And then it was like, whoo, I'm grown now. I don't know what to do. So I would have just probably enjoyed more of my youthful years being a child because I definitely grew up way before my time. I was grown way before I was 18. And
Gotcha.
so when I turned 18, it was really nothing nobody could tell me. And I was a mother by then. So I would have waited a little longer to have a child and I would have enjoyed my youth and
Got
just, probably went away to college and joined a sorority and, just the typical fun stuff that I look back now like, damn, I grew up way too fast. And I don't regret it at all because it made me who I am today. But if I could do it over, I would definitely go back to about 14-ish and just enjoy being a child.
For sure. Yeah. I think, so one thing I would tell my younger self is just like, give yourself more grace.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us look at, oh yeah, you strive to be perfect or
Right.
you don't want to make any mistakes. And then that's where the guilt and the shame and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
dwells and it can eat at you. And that's how the enemy works. But at the same time, it's just like be mindful of what God gave you and like
Right.
operate in your gift. Like
Yeah.
don't be afraid of like operating in your gift, and your gift is not meant for you, it's meant for other people.
Right.
And then once you realize that, it's like, oh, all right, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
All right, I can keep giving, and it can be receptive as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I just think that when it comes down to it, just realizing, okay, these are the intangibles. God made you this way. If he can
Right.
use you, he can use anybody.
That's
You
true.
know what I mean? So
I agree.
you qualified to do the work. And like I said, I feel like as you continue, just continue to stay grounded, stay focused around the people that continue to pour into you, your why, and
Mm-hmm.
just that support system. Just keep
Right.
it strong. Keep it
Okay.
strong. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Because you're doing phenomenal things. I don't know
Thank you.
that many people that are on the forefront that are consistently doing something either every day, weekly. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like
Yeah.
when you see it, we can get caught up in, like, oh my gosh, it could be busyness.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's intentionality.
Yeah.
And it's
Thank
because
you.
it's more so, it's not booked and busy. I don't look at it that way from an organizational standpoint. I
Mm-hmm.
look at it from intentional and purposeful,
Right.
because it's like what you're producing. You're not thinking of, okay, it's just a one-time thing. No, this is longevity for me.
Right.
And this is how I'm going to build the longevity, by building a relationship, by doing this, and not looking at it from a like, oh yeah, what can I get from this? Like, how can I help you is always going to be more important than what can I gain.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's true.
that's how I look
I
at it.
agree. I agree.
For
That's
sure,
dope.
for sure. Well, I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
I learned a lot, for sure. You
Mhm.
definitely reassured a lot for myself as an organizer and the podcast and all that stuff too. So, like I said, I'm rooting for you. I'm looking forward to collaborations. We speak in, like I said, with your organization, the programming that's going to hit elementary, middle, high schools, even
Yes,
colleges.
that's the goal. Yeah,
Know what
gotta
I'm saying? All
manifest
of
and
that.
speak it into
All
existence.
of that as well. I could definitely see more panels for yourself, more
Mhm.
hosting opportunities and things like that, and just the grace that you continue to give yourself. Continue to be the light that you are, because
Thank you. Yeah.
you are
And
a
same
dope
to
human.
you.
Yeah.
Continue being a voice for the youth because you're always. I mean, I'm actually looking forward to even bringing you out to speak to some of the youth in our program. So there are going to be plenty of opportunities that we'll work together in and out of the community.
For
But
sure.
just keep going. I'm same far as you. You're always on the scenes. You're always showing up for people, and you always delivering a positive message like every day. Like
I
so,
appreciate
if I
that.
can't count on nothing else, we know we're gonna see that post with you spinning around, shouting out your message, and
Yes.
it's always a powerful message. So that's very, very important. Because some days, you might not even know how many people you might just touch that one day from your message. A person who might not be in a great mood or
For
feeling
sure.
down, and so yeah, you keep grinding as well. Because we need more young black men like you out
I
here
appreciate
just
that.
mentoring and being a positive role model. So I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of the youth is like they're looking up to the wrong male figures. They see, they hear a lot of the stuff in the rap music. They see social media. Everything looks like an image of some sort. And
Right.
so they miss the message that
Right.
many people say because they looking at an image. So I think they
Yeah.
need to consistently hear those positive messages from people like you.
I appreciate that. Like I said, like, because even with the event and like I said, pulling up to the opioid summit, like that was powerful within itself, just to be
Yeah.
in the room and just to hear the testimonies. And, like I said, always learning information. Like I'm sitting there with my notebook, I'm writing. I'm
Right.
like, whoa, this is different.
Right.
And then, like I said, shout outs to, y'all had played the DMX
Oh,
video.
yeah.
And that hit because I'm like,
Right.
man, that's one of my favorite artists. And just to
Yes.
hear that and what happened at the time and how old he was at the time and
Right.
that one decision. I don't want I don't want anybody to make a wrong decision where they look back and they be like, man, I regretted it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to show that in real time and to be transparent with them as well, like, yo, we're showing you this not to scare you. And you guys have, constantly said that. It's just that we want you to be aware.
Right.
And I haven't seen like an event of that magnitude hit so many pockets
Right.
that
Yeah,
just hit
no,
home, you know
that
what I
was
mean?
that was definitely a big event. Shout out to my girl Nicole.
Yeah,
Y'all
shout
know
out to
how
Nicole
me and
for sure.
Nicole we
Yeah.
responders.
Yeah, we responders now for sure.
She really orchestrated that event. Like,
For sure.
her and Mike. But Nicole, like, Mike kept saying, like, what more you want me to do? What more? Because, like, she's just, like, when she get that battery in her back, she's on go mode. And, Nicole, you know what I'm talking about. But that's my boo. Like, me and her connected. Another collaboration from just networking.
Right,
We
for
were
sure.
both at a grant writing class, fairly new into our organizations almost 2 years ago. And we sat next to each other, and I don't think we left each other's side since then. Like,
Yeah, that's
we just
fire.
spitting ideas. We be on the phone at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, girl, I got to get up in the morning.
That's
She
fire.
called me, girl, no, but the idea is this. I'm like, okay, Nicole. She called me, we got an event on Friday. I'm like, what event we got Friday? Like, we
Yeah.
both be trying to help each other
Yeah.
manage our schedules. But she's a great person. That's probably one of my best connections I've made thus far. And she takes that opioid awareness very serious after losing her father to an overdose just last year. So we've been building. And again, when I look at my mission, trauma, what is trauma?
Right.
Losing parents to opioid, even not just losing parents, being children of addicts is
Right.
traumatizing.
Right.
Being addicts themselves is traumatizing. So that's why me and her piggyback a lot off of, she'll call me like, look, I got such and such this part, and you can do the trauma part, and then you can do the financial literacy. So she's always,
Right.
she's a connector.
Yeah,
okay,
that's-
that
fire.
room that was together that day,
Yeah.
she pulled all them people in there. I just was there.
Right, for sure.
I was there.
Yeah, and
It's all
yeah.
Nicole,
Yeah.
not all Nicole, but
Yeah, shout out to
90%
yeah.
of the
Shout out-
connections was Nicole.
Yeah,
She was
shout
like,
out to We Responders
yeah,
for
we
sure.
responders is that she gonna
Yeah.
go real far.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
and
rooting
don't
for all
forget
y'all.
about me, Nicole, when you get to the Zap. Okay.
Nah, that part
But
right.
no, yeah, so-
Nah, I think it's definitely dope.
And thank you for coming, because
Yeah.
like people like you, that's what I mean. Like when I say you show up, like you'll show up even if you're not invited. Sometimes, not to say
Yeah.
you're not invited, because you always will be. But if it's not like a personal invitation,
Yeah,
like,
for
if
sure.
it's just a post on social
Yeah.
media, it's like, oh yeah, they having it Saturday, I'm gonna stop by.
Yeah, and
So-
to speak to that too, I feel like at the end of the day, it's community over competition,
Right.
and I think and what I want people to realize too is like, just because you're not a part of the event, meaning like, yo, you
Right.
ain't speaking, oh, I ain't pulling up, like,
Yeah.
that's an egotistical, that's a pride thing
Right,
for me. And
yeah.
I'm like, nah, but this is about community and how can you learn, how can you connect? Maybe
Yeah.
you being a part or being there, maybe it's a conversation you needed to have with somebody,
Right.
or just your presence
Yeah.
being there. You don't know
Yeah.
what it is for somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not only support, like, it was Nicole, yourself, it's Treehouse Project, Shalise, it's Lord Zay, like all y'all my
Right.
guys, like all y'all fam, like we
Right.
all did, like
Yeah.
y'all are all amazing people,
Yeah.
and I just love this. Like it's like a Super Bowl for the city,
Mhm.
where all y'all are together.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean, and y'all all are aligned to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So God's just gonna sit there and put his sprinkle on it, and y'all do what y'all do
Yeah.
because he's using y'all.
Yeah.
So it's just dope to see everybody win at one time. And
That's
then to have the
true.
youth panel too, that was fire. Everything about the event to me was fire.
Well, thank you.
Just to
So,
sit back there.
we got another one coming up soon.
Fire.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's in June. Am I right, Nicole? I don't want to spread the news wrong, but it's coming up.
All right, say no more.
So of course we'll have you speak. Like you did
I
a
don't
good
know.
job at
Go
the
ahead.
one up at Mondawmin at Cat First. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean you deliver great words. So we definitely gonna be putting like a panel together and speakers, and we're working on it. We're getting it together now.
Say no
so.
more. Say no more.
Yeah,
Well, like I said,
but yeah, it was a pleasure being here
for
tonight.
sure.
I'm glad I can have this conversation. Look forward to, future connections and collaborations, and seeing you next week
Yeah.
at the youth.
Yes, we're gonna be out there. Yes,
yeah.
definitely. Money management, finance for the youngest. I'm
Right.
excited.
Me too. I got
Yes,
some dope stuff for them kids, so they gonna have a ball
for
and they gonna go
sure.
home with some knowledge. And,
Yeah. They got to lock in. Know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? For sure. So we're
Yeah.
going to make sure that they turned up. And like I said, I know we're going to have a good time. And just exposing them to different things, I feel like it's
Right.
definitely dope. So
Yeah.
like I said, all things money management. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes,
All
indeed.
right. Well, so we
You
like
already know
that.
what it
We
is.
like that.
You already know what it is. And you already know the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And we out.
Soundstripe.